This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, June the 24th, in the year 1992, 30 years ago when I'm taping this, the NBA was introduced to the Shaq attack. Yes, it was the 1992 NBA draft in Portland, Oregon. The NBA decided to finally have the draft away from New York City and draft in different cities. The 92 Trailblazers got second place in the NBA, losing to the Bulls in the final. However, they say this is one of the deepest NBA drafts in history. The top three picks are Hall of Famers. And the funny thing is, the top three picks actually were teammates on the 2005 Miami Heat. Two other players went on to be All-Stars in the 92 draft, and several others had decent careers. So the first pick went to Orlando, who just came off expansion bowls. They've been in the league for only 4 years, and then they knew about this guy named Shaquille O'Neal. They needed a center, and they did. They decided to go with Shaq from LSU, a junior. Shaq famously was 7 foot by the time he was 13 years old, and LSU basketball coach Dale Brown noticed him asking about weight training and all that, and he says, "What part of this? What's your rank, soldier?" And soldier, he's like, "Soldier, I'm an army brat. I'm a kid, 13-year-old kid." And then Dale Brown worked with Shaq, knew about Shaq, decided to have him with LSU. He was basically the best LSU player other than Mr. Pistol Pete Maravich. So anyway, LSU didn't do that well as a team, but hey, Shaq was an icon, and he was the consensus number one. So he went to Orlando. The number two pick was not as such either. Charlotte, who also came in through an expansion route, actually ended up taking from Georgetown senior Alonzo Mourning, another center. Alonzo Mourning was basically the best Georgetown center other than one Patrick Ewing. Sorry, Roy Hibbert. But anyway, Alonzo was an icon for the Hornets in the early days. Few can forget Alonzo's fadeaway in Game 4 of the first round against the Boston Celtics in '93, giving the Hornets their first playoff series win, and unfortunately ruining Boston's momentum because Larry Bird retired and Reggie Lewis would die in July. So Alonzo would be much more than that memorable playing for the Miami Heat, and of course having kidney problems and his brother-in-law giving him a kidney. And then Alonzo Mourning was traded to the New Jersey Nets. And he played for the Nets. He wasn't the solid guy. And then Mourning was traded to the Raptors in the Vince Carter trade. Unfortunately, Alonzo Mourning refused to go to Toronto. Who could blame him at the time? The number 3 pick went to Minnesota, who also was an expansion team. They took Duke senior Christian Laettner. So Christian Laettner was a man about town. National Player of the Year in 1991, the year before he was drafted. He was Duke personified. He was Coach K's favorite, in a sense. Christian Laettner was a clutch player who helped Duke win the 91 and 92 national title. So Minnesota took a chance at Christian Laettner. He didn't really gel in Minnesota. He did much better for teams like Washington and Miami, but Christian Laettner was kind of a disappointment in a sense. The 4th pick went to Dallas, who took Jimmy Jackson, a good shooting guard from Ohio State. And, he was a 3-point sharpshooter. Dallas needed someone like that because Dallas had been slumping terribly, winning like 15 or 16 games that year, I think. I can't remember. But anyway, Jimmy Jackson was supposed to be the glue that helped Dallas out. He wasn't really much for the Dallas Mavericks, although he would be traded to, is it Phoenix in the Steve Nash deal? I don't remember. But anyway, Denver had the 5th pick and took from Notre Dame senior LaFonso Ellis at power forward. LaFonso would be okay for Denver, but not superstar. Like, Washington lucked out with a power forward from NC State by the name of Tom Gugliotta, who would be much more known for being with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think he and Laettner got traded for each other. I can't remember. Because, Gugliotta was desperate for Minnesota and Laettner for Washington. Sacramento took Walt Williams from Maryland, 7th overall, from and it looked good. Well, Walt Williams would be much more known for his wizardry for the expansion Toronto Raptors. Milwaukee took with the 8th pick Todd Day, a shooting guard from Arkansas. So yeah, Todd Day was okay, but not in the pros. He didn't really have a solid career. 9th pick went to Philadelphia, who took Seven Miss power forward Clarence Weatherspoon. So a nice power forward. Spoon would be okay for the Sixers, but would fall flat. The 10th pick went to Adam Keefe of Atlanta. Well, Atlanta took Adam Keefe from Stanford. Keefe was better with the Utah Jazz. Other key picks in that draft, Robert Ory went 11th from the University of Alabama to Houston. Basically, Ory got a little bit too ahead of himself. That's why Houston dumped him off. He would be known as Big Shot Rob for his efforts with the Lakers and the Spurs. Harold Miner from USC, they called him Baby Jordan for how he played the game, went 12th to Miami, and he won 2 slam dunk contests, but nothing else other than that. Anthony Peeler went 15th to the Lakers. He was okay. Doug Christie went 17th to Seattle from Pepperdine. Christie would be basically known for being part of the Raptors' early expansion existence. So would Tracy Murray, who went 18th to San Antonio from UCLA. So Christie Murray would help the Raptors out in their infancy. Hubert Davis went 20th to the Knicks. Another Arkansas player, Oliver Miller, went to Phoenix, the center. Lee Mayberry went to Milwaukee, also from the University of Arkansas. Latrell Sprewell went 24th to Golden State via Alabama. Frank Price went 32nd to Washington. He was good. Popeye Jones went 41st to Houston, but Popeye would be a fan favorite in the early days for the Raptors. Matt Geiger, center, Georgia Tech went to Miami. Yeah, 54 players were drafted. One guy who wasn't drafted in the 92 NBA draft, but was a member. He played for the University of Portland, and he won a couple of titles as head coach of the Miami Heat. You may know him as Eric Spoelstra. So yeah, so Shaq was an icon. Orlando knew they got their big center, and Shaq nearly got Orlando to the playoffs in his first season. They missed out by 1 game to the Pacers, if memory serves me right. Orlando would draft Penny Hart, actually draft first overall again with the 1 ping pong ball out of 66. Took Chris Webber, traded him to Golden State for their draft pick, Penny Hardaway. Penny and Shaq helped Orlando win the 95 Eastern Conference, got to the finals, but Houston showed the heart of a champion, a former champion of that, and swept Orlando aside. Shaq would leave for Los Angeles, have his own problems with Kobe. The team couldn't get along. Shaq was traded to Miami and helped Miami win the 2006 title. And Shaq bounced around for a few teams later on. But Shaq is with the attack. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adu.